Board Online, Board Offline. Today we're bringing you a review of a Blood Rage insert from MeepleRealty.com. Now at the end of this video, I'll also have an opportunity for you to win an insert from MeepleRealty.com, maybe the Blood Rage one, maybe a different one. That's really going to be up to you, and wait till the end and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So let's get right down into this Blood Rage insert and let me show you exactly how it works. Okay, so here we've got the retail version of Blood Rage. Now what this is going to allow you to see though is just how much extra space is in there for all of the Kickstarter stuff. And if you have the Kickstarter, then you'll see that there's plenty of room for everything. So, and if you remember, this box is pretty packed when you get it with just the retail version. So let's see what we've got going on here. Here's obviously your game board. You've got Valhalla, the age tracker on top. We've got our clan sheets here, or clan trackers. I forget exactly what those are called. And then, of course, the rule book on top. And now here, let's get down into the actual components. See right around here, we've got some of the monsters. And we'll get down in there in a second and really see what exactly is going on in there. Now with these right here, I want to go in and point out that these are not the correct clan symbols for the clans I've got in here. And that's partially my fault for not really thinking about the fact that these guys have really tall spears coming up. Also, there is a little bit of ambiguity in the instructions as far as where to put the various clan symbols. But if you see this video, know that the clans that have the large spears, which are actually going to be Raven and Wolf, the clans with the spears that point up, they need to be the ones down in here, and so you'd want to put the correct backer behind them in that case. But I didn't want to disassemble it after I put it together, so that's what's going on there. With that being said, let me show you how this works. These right here pull right out just like that, and down inside here, let's get this a little bit closer. You can see that I've got, for the two clans that are in the middle, oops, knock that guy over. For the two clans in the middle, I've got their extra discs here for the monsters, these little tokens that you use for tracking all your stats, as well as your glory tracker there, though they have their own spots for that. So let's drop this back in here real quick. Also, these do actually, those are in there where you can do like that. Everything except the ship is a little bit, the ship's loose in there, but everything else you can tilt over. You can see that the warriors and your leader are just fine. They actually could be stored vertically. The only thing that I see moving around might be the ship. Drop that back in there. And this one comes out just as easily. Over here, also these guys come out, and you can see that they also are in there. The bases are wedged into these right here. I can show you. There are right there. Get a little bit closer there so you can see how it's kind of got that multi-layered level there, and that fits in just right. Kind of have to push it down in there, but once you get it in there, it's in, and they won't move unless, I mean, obviously if you're shaking it around. Oops, he got hung up there. If you're shaking it around, they'll fall out, but for the most part, they stay where they are. However, there's something even cooler about that. And before we get down to there and pull this out, I want to show you the cards. You have one of these for each age of cards. So you can see that. And underneath them, we have a spot for the small monsters. So let's get to that in just a minute. For now, let's pull this out. And I'm going to show you that this is wedged in pretty tightly. That's one thing that you're going to have to understand with this insert is, since they wanted to get everything from the Kickstarter in here, it is wedged into this box pretty tightly. And for me, it hangs up in this corner here. You just have to kind of pull the box away a little bit, and then it pulls right out. Okay, let's rearrange this for a second so I can show you a little better. Okay, so here we've got these two clans up here, and I'm sure you might have noticed a minute ago, these are just the warriors. There's no leader, there's no ship. Well, where are they? we have a little drawer that pulls out down here and over here as well. And in there we've got the clan leader, the ship, and all the tokens that were underneath these guys here in this spot and this spot. And these two, if you had the Kickstarter extra clans, they have drawers as well that you can see there. And finally, under these guys, pull them out. Oh, okay, there we go. You can see we've got space for all the other tokens. We've got the Ragnarok discs, you've got the Pillage tokens, first player token, and the Doom token as well. All in there, easily fit in there, no problem as far as this sliding back down in. Sits flush just like that. And again, these slide in here. Okay, so now let's take a look at the rest of what's here in the box. Like I said, we have the monsters here, and if you notice, there's actually specific names for the specific spots these monsters go on. Now, I will say that they do not quite as easily fit into these spots. You got to work with it a little bit more than you do with the clans. But once you get them in there, they do fit snug, and you have a pretty good shot of them not moving around. You can see this guy, I haven't quite gotten him to be able to fit into his spot yet, but still I know that he can. Well, hopefully he can, because these guys can as well, and they are in there pretty good. They're not moving. Over here with these guys, same thing as far as very specific spots for them. Underneath them are the names that they belong to, and you can see that actually the way these are designed, you would have more kind of coming down from the other direction if you had all the Kickstarter stuff. And here's another one that's completely empty for me that's got spots for various other, I believe these are all the gods. Yeah, you can see there's Thor and Odin and stuff down in there. And so you'd have spots for all of them as well. So there you go. That's the MeepleRealty.com Viking Heim Blood Rage insert. Now, obviously, you could see that it is a very tight fit in the box, and that's because they wanted to make sure that whether you had the retail version or you had the Kickstarter version, you could fit everything in there. As far as where you put the minis, I think that works out really well, especially for the clans. Those spots seem to go exactly as planned. They work very well. The pieces aren't falling out, any of that stuff. With the monsters, you did see that with the one monster, I had some difficulty getting it to stay in its spot. The rest of the monsters work just fine, and that could just be perhaps a distortion with the plastic for the monster. It seems to me that probably that's the case, since the rest of the monster minis are fitting in their spots exactly the way they're supposed to. It definitely helps you keep everything very organized, cuts down on setup time for sure. Everything exactly where you expect it to be, you know, when you're pulling it out. I like that a lot. One thing I will say, this one is definitely more complicated to put together than the previous two. Previously, I've put together one for Dead of Winter for Meeple Realty and also one for Star Wars Imperial Assault. And both of those were about the same level of complexity. This one was definitely a bit more complex, a bit more thought had to go into it as I was reading the directions. A couple things with the directions that I want to note is that for instance, for the trays for the clans, I built 4 of the one type of tray and 2 of the other. In the directions, it wasn't very clear that, hey, okay, right now build 4 of these. It showed you how to build at one time, and I didn't see any clear indication, go ahead and build 4 more. Now, obviously, once I got done, you know, so I built 1, and I moved on to the next step of whatever the next thing was to build. And when I got done, I realized that I should have already built the other 3, so I went back and, you know, took the pieces that I needed and did it. Not a big problem there. The other thing is that there was one particular piece that was a bit more fragile. Now, when I'm building these, I'm using a metal hammer, and do that at your own risk. I am confident enough in my metal hammering abilities to just gently tap these pieces in when I'm doing it. You know, maybe a rubber mallet probably would be better. They have one on their website, and I'm sure you could just get one from Home Depot, however you want to do that as far as building this, but you do need something to tap it in. They also recommend wood glue. I haven't used wood glue on this, and it seems to hold together just fine. So anyway, there is a single piece, and I'm trying to remember, I can't remember exactly what step it's in when you're building it, but when I was tapping another piece into it, it did crack, and I was like, oh man. And the more I looked at it, I was like, well, and it's a pretty thin, the area on the piece, because there's a circle that's cut out, and so the edge was very, very thin there, and it cracked when I was tapping the other piece into it. Well, I got it done and I realized they actually provide 2 additional pieces that you don't need. I can only assume as spare pieces, because they realize that piece is thinner than the others. That's the only thing I can figure is why these 2 spare pieces of the exact piece that I had broken happen to be in there. So the fact that there was the foresight to put that extra couple of pieces in there in case somebody broke them when they were building it, I thought that was really good too. And once I cracked the one that I cracked was the first one that I built, and then after that, because there were 3 other times that I had to use that same piece, I was able to kind of see what it was that I was doing and make sure that I lined everything up exactly right so I didn't crack another one. Other than that, I think this insert is fantastic. The fact that they've got enough room in the base box to easily store in an organized fashion the entire Kickstarter worth of items blows my mind. I can't believe that that's even possible to have it in such an organized way. It definitely provides a way for you to store your minis, painted or not, that will protect them without having to deal with that plastic tray inside the cardboard box that Cool Mini or Not offers. Now, obviously, that's a pretty good thing that Cool Mini or Not puts it in there, but it's still a pain to pull those plastic pieces out or plastic trays out and then put the minis out. So I'm happy that this provides a more easily accessible way to get to those minis, and the fact that you can store these minis in the little circles, the little colored circles, so that you don't have to keep taking them off. That's also really good. So enough with the insert. Let's talk about how you can win an insert from MeepleRealty.com. Right now, over on my guild in Board Game Geek, I have a poll going. And what's going on with that is you go over there, join the guild, vote on the poll, and you can vote on which insert I'll be giving away from Meeple Realty. Got a whole list there. The one insert that's missing is their scythe insert, because that's the last one we gave away. And it won by a landslide the last time we did a poll. So I'm gonna give the other inserts some love. So get over there, vote on the insert you want to be given away, and then after that poll closes, which is on this date right here, after the poll closes, then I'll give you the instructions on how to actually enter into the contest to win the selected insert. So that's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you like my channel, please subscribe. And until next time, if you're bored online, bored offline.